I'm all dirty right now because I was working on my table, so please don't mind the mess. And I just needed to do a really quick second shot or second attempt at my intro from the other day, where I asked you to excuse the awkward filming. I had to charge the battery for my DSLR, so then I used my phone to record the rest. And you know, I'm a noob to the whole filming thing, well, filming on myself, and I didn't hold the camera in the proper orientation. So yeah, it's gonna look kind of funny, and it's okay, you can laugh. I understand. I probably would laugh too. So yeah, I'm sorry for the jumpiness of the video and the weird orientation and the change actually of the orientation. So please be patient and understanding. I really just wanted to get that info out to you guys before too much time passed. I'm just trying to be consistent, right? Okay, well, I hope you enjoy my testimony and learning a little bit about me. Look at that. My husband and I are building our own dining table, and we just need chairs. We could build the chairs. They're a little more difficult, but we can do it. The only thing is we're having guests coming for Thanksgiving, and that's next week. And I don't think we'll have time to do all the finishing touches like we want. This is beautiful. So yeah, okay, about me. I love the outdoors. I am very much into photography and just exploration. And I passed by San Marcos River and I saw how cool it looked, and I thought, I cannot pass up this opportunity. Yeah, sometimes I get easily distracted. I know I'm supposed to be looking for chairs, but look at that. Look at that. Come on. Can you blame me? Can you blame me? Anyway, I have to go for now because I need to take some pictures. Talk to you later. Bye. I decided to record from my phone this time because my battery on my video camera, well, it's my DSLR, it was dying because I tried to record this video dozens of times, I think, seriously. Well, definitely in the double digits. I don't know exactly how much, I stopped counting. But anyway, I thought I'd share a little about myself. Well, you already know my name is Priscilla. I live in Texas. I'm from California. I was born and raised in California. And I didn't move out of California until we moved to Belize. And I know some people might think it was a huge culture shock, but I actually loved it. I love traveling. I love warm weather. I love humidity. I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I used to think I was supposed to be born in a tropical climate. And then we moved to Belize, and I realized I didn't have to be born here as long as I lived here. And although that didn't work out, we do plan on going back. So, yeah, I'm 32. I've been married for 5 years. I've been serving God for over 10, since 2001. And I guess that's a good segue to tell you how I gave my life to God. I started out as a young child in Catholicism, but I was the kind of Catholic that I never went to church until I had to do my first Holy Communion, and I had no idea what it was about. I was just told I had to do it. So I thought, okay, it didn't mean anything special to me. I don't even think it meant anything special to my parents, because how could it? If it's not a part of your everyday life, how can it be that important? It's just what they were taught, so that's what they did, and that's what they tried teaching me. My parents split when I was probably 7 years old. My mom was pregnant with my younger brother, and he and I are we're 7 years apart, so my parents split when I was 6 then. And we stayed living in that area for about a year, and around my brother's first birthday, I was a month after my brother's first birthday, my mom moved us. She wanted us to get away from my dad, because it was a really bad situation. He was abusive, and he wasn't physically abusive to me, but he was to my mom and to my brother and to my oldest sister. And she just wanted us away from all that. It just wasn't healthy, and as long as he was around, there was going to be issues. So she got us out of that situation. And although I didn't understand it at first, the more time went on and the more I saw the way my dad was, the more I realized that I was better off without him. And I actually thank God for getting me out of that situation when he did, because my life would have turned out so much more differently, and I'm not sure that I would know God the way I do today. So I'm very grateful for that. Maybe like a year after we moved there, my uncle invited my mom to church, and I think she told him no at first, and then she finally gave in and started and gave it a try, and apparently she really liked it because we kept going. And so at first I was like super excited, I was learning about God in a way that I'd never learned about him before. I always knew about him. I always had a certain amount of fear of him. I remember my family talking about the end times and me being freaked out, thinking, I don't want to be left behind. And I was a kid. I think I was still in diapers when I heard them talking about that, and I just knew I didn't want to get left behind. When we were going to church there, the church we started going to had issues, like a lot of churches do. And so eventually I stopped going, but it wasn't even because of the issues in the church. It was because I had a very low self-esteem, and it was obvious to me my dad didn't care about me. And my mom, although she loved me, my younger brother was the baby, and so he got to pester me as much as he wanted, and my mom wouldn't say a thing. She'd actually tell me if I told him to leave me alone, or I'd yell at him or something, she would yell at me and tell me, that's your brother, leave him alone. And so all I saw was the unfairness, and it was frustrating and irritating, and I became bitter about it. And I just saw the favoritism and became so angry, felt rejected by my mom and my dad, and even my older brother and sister left when they were still teenagers. And it seemed like everybody I loved was leaving me. And although I learned in church that God loves everybody, he died for everybody, and I believed him, I had enough fear of him to know that he's not a liar. But the evidence to me just seemed as though he didn't love me as much as he loved everybody else. And I thought, oh, okay, he loves me. He just doesn't love me the way he loves everybody else. The reason I thought this is because I wanted so badly to be accepted and to feel his love, and I never really felt it, I heard and saw people around me being prophesied over, and people would tell them, God has a mighty plan for your life, just stay faithful. Nobody ever told me that. Nobody ever even at least told me to stay faithful. Nobody encouraged me. Nobody helped to mentor me or grow me spiritually. Nobody did that. And I was a kid. We started going to church when I was maybe 9 years old. And right away, the infatuation left. And I stuck it out for a few years, and I tried to have a relationship with God. I tried to read the Bible. I really loved Him, and I wanted to have a relationship with Him. I just didn't know how. Nobody really taught me. And since nobody taught me, and nobody told me how hard it would be, and nobody told me the games Satan plays with your mind, and the lies he'll tell you to get you to walk away, nobody told me any of those things. So I believed all the lies, and I thought, well, okay, God loves me, but apparently He doesn't love me as much as He loves everybody else. Apparently He's got a special mighty plan for everybody else, but not me. He hasn't told me. So if He doesn't love me that much, He's not going to miss me when I walk away. And so I walked away, even though technically I kept going to church. I was under 18 years old. My mom was still making me go to church, just like any good mother would, right? So I kept going to church, but I just wasn't into it. And my old pastor, she was teaching a Bible study at the time, and I liked going to her Bible study. Even though my heart wasn't really truly right with God, I still loved to learn. I love to learn. That's just something God did for me. I love to learn. And even about Him, at that time I still liked to learn about Him. And her specialty was Revelation, and oh my goodness, that book is so interesting but so complicated, and if you don't know how to research or where to start, or you don't have that discernment to really tackle that subject, it can be very hard, very daunting, and that was her specialty. And so she made it so clear, so easy to understand, and it was just amazing. And she'd always been able to hold my attention. And so it got to a point where things started getting shaken in that church. Like I said, there were issues in the church, right? There was a lot of cliquey type things going on and favoritism being shown. There were issues, and people left the church, and my mom and my family was one of them. And so when my mom left the church, she actually stopped going to church for a little while. I don't remember how long it was. I really don't think it was all that long. It seemed kind of long for me just because I was surprised by it, I think. But it really wasn't all that long. And she stopped making me go to church. I was pretty happy about that, but at the same time, I became very depressed, and I had graduated high school, and I was going to school to community college, and it was when I was going to school at the community college that I started becoming very depressed. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. I used to do so well in school, and I just got tired of it, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't know what I was going to school for. I didn't know what I wanted my major to be, because I have interests in so many things. And I thought, well, if I'm going to take all this time to go to school, I want it to be something that I'm passionate about, something that I'll remain interested in forever. And I just had no idea what that was, because I'm interested in so many things. So it just seemed so daunting and depressing to think about, wow, I have to pick one thing, and I'm going to have to spend how much money, putting myself through college to commit to that one thing. And there were other things. I just was not happy in life at all, and school was just one little part of it. I think the main issue was I just didn't feel like I had a purpose. And if I didn't have a purpose, then there was no hope. And if there was no hope, there was no reason to live. And although I wanted to die, I wished for death, I even prayed for death, there was no way I was going to take my life into my own hands. Like I said, I think God put a certain amount of fear of Him in me for a reason. And there was just something that wouldn't let me even take my thoughts to a point of committing suicide or seriously contemplating it. But For some reason I had no problems going to God and telling him that I'm a waste. I'm a waste of space, I'm a waste of air even, I'm a waste of material. You know, he could have created somebody else, somebody that he would have really loved. And so I prayed for death and I asked him. Well, I told him I'm not going to kill myself. I won't do that. But if you want me dead, you don't have to do it. Just kill me. Just kill me. However, I don't care if it's my sleep or you let me get hit by a car and die here in the street. You know, I make everybody around me miserable, and I think everybody will be happier without me, so just kill me. And I even told him, I know that if I die now, I'll go to hell, and that's okay. I said I'm okay with that. So just do it. And he didn't. I prayed that a couple of times, and nothing came of it. I just became more depressed because it seemed like there was no end and no hope. And so finally, August 2001 comes around. There was a singer, her name was Aaliyah. She was a year younger than me, and she died in a plane accident coming home from shooting a video. You know, that was normal life for her. It was exciting. The thought of it was exciting for me because I'd never really gone anywhere to that point. But for her, it was normal. She was just working, and she was coming back from work, and she died. And then maybe like a week or two after that, my aunt Lizzie died in a car accident on the way to work. And she was only 32 years old. As old as I am today. She was only 32 years old, and she had 2 young boys. It's so weird because she was the youngest on my dad's side of the family. And so everybody took it really hard, and at the funeral, you know, I saw people, some of my family that I hadn't seen in a long time. And it was weird. It was kind of like we had a family reunion, and it's sad that it had to be a death to bring everybody together. But that's what happened. And I remember being shocked. Like, I couldn't believe it. And she was the first person close to me that ever died, you know. So then, a couple more weeks later, on September 11th, 2001, I had my alarm set to wake me up for work. I had it set to the radio because I hate this buzzer. It's so annoying. So I had it set to the radio, and I woke up to my alarm being breaking news. A plane just crashed into the World Trade Center, one of the Twin Towers. And first I thought it was a joke or a prank or something. But then I turned on the TV just to see, like, once I woke up and came to, and they kept talking about it, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I turned on TV and saw the news, and every station was airing the footage of the plane crashing, and I actually was watching the news as the second plane hit the second tower. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, of course, everybody was in shock that whole day, you know, and I happen to work in the audiovisual department, so we were able to have a TV on even while I went to work. But it was such a surreal day, and I think I was in shock for a couple of weeks. And finally, a couple weeks after September 11th, it was like God had told me, you realize you could be next, right? And it was like he said, are you sure you're okay with going to hell? Because that's where you're going if you die today, right now. And for the first time, I guess I realized that I didn't want to go to hell. You know, I felt like I had no hope, but obviously God wasn't going to kill me. So my only alternative was surrendering it all to Him and giving in to Him and just giving my life to Him. And so that's what I did. And I grew up in church, like I said, even though my heart wasn't really in it most of the years. I still grew up in church. I still knew what the sinner's prayer was. I knew how to say it. So I went to my room and I said the sinner's prayer. You know, I knelt at my bed and said the prayer, and I told Him, I'm not going to wait until Sunday because, you know, obviously I'm not guaranteed to even see the rest of the day, much less tomorrow. So I'm not going to wait until Sunday till I go to church to give my life to you. And I'm not going to wait until Sunday to start praying and reading the Bible. You know, I'm going to start doing that today. And I told Him, I want to read your word every day, but every time I read your word, every time I open the Bible, I want you to show up. I want you to teach me. And I told Him, I don't want to learn things the way man has taught me. I don't want to learn things the way man thinks that it means, or, you know, according to man's interpretation. I told Him, I want you to teach me. I want to know the way you meant it to be understood. And wow, He just opened up my understanding to His word, because I had tried reading the Bible a few times before, and I could not grasp it. But this time it was so different. Everything just became so clear. I mean, not everything. There were still some things that tripped me up a little bit, but I think it was just because God was trying to teach me to study. You know, it's like, don't just read it, study it, search deeper. And so I studied. You know, that's how I learned to study. I went and I searched deeper and I looked up other similar scriptures. Thank God I had a study Bible. My mom had bought me a study Bible. And so, He really started teaching me. And at first I just started praying, asking Him to teach me, or to let me open the Bible wherever He wants me to. You know, it's like, you know what you want me to know most right now, so let me just open it to that spot. And I did that for a while, and I just started learning so many things, and I was just so blown away by everything He was teaching me that I finally was like, okay, I want to know everything. Not everything, I don't mean it everything, but I just want to read the entire Bible. I feel like I'm missing so much, and I don't want to miss anything. And so I started from the beginning, and I read all the way through, and He gave me such a hunger and a thirst for His word, and I couldn't get enough. There were days I'd stay up till like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, and I had to wake up in a couple hours to go to work and school. But it seemed like on those days I was even more energetic than when I had a full night's sleep. You know, like, I entered His rest. He knew He was sustaining me, and it's like I was having supernatural study sessions with Him, I guess. So He sustained me, and He gave me the energy and strength and everything I needed. Plus, I was younger then, so bodies can take a little more when you're younger. And so I just read His word through and through several times, and then I finally got to a point where I started to slow down, and I started slacking off, actually. I became complacent, and I started slacking off. But anyway, that's probably a video for another time. I think I've already confessed to you that I am inconsistent, and I'm trying not to be. You know, the Bible warns against people who are double-minded, and I think inconsistency is a symptom or a sign of double-mindedness, and I so don't want to be that. You know, I don't want to open myself up to anything that is not of God. So I'm trying my very, very, very best to not be double-minded, to be consistent, and to be a person of my word. You know, I won't say, I'm trying really hard not to make a promise or to even just give my word if I'm not sure that I can fulfill on that, because I want to be a person of my word. It's important for me to do that. It's like another way of being deceitful, I guess, you know? I mean, if you're not a person of your word, then people can't trust your word. Just like people who are liars, you can't trust the word of a liar. So, nobody likes being lied to, so I'm trying really hard to work on that. But yeah, I walked away from God because I felt rejected and unloved and unworthy. And when I gave my life back to God, it was because I had no hope, and I figured, what have I got to lose? You know, nothing's going right anyway, so why not give him a try? A real good, honest try. And not worry about anything else, just seek him, you know, just give it all to him. That's what I did. I was so fed up. I think that's what he needed. If I would have just been so fed up with my life, and I would have given him my whole entire life, if I would have understood, you know, but I didn't understand when I was a kid. But I finally just got to a point where I was so fed up with the way my life was going. I just said, okay, here, you know, I'm good for nothing without you. So let's see what you can do with me. And he started teaching me so many things. Like, he didn't allow people to tell me that he had a special plan for me because he wanted to tell me himself. He wanted to show me what that plan was. He didn't allow people to teach me certain things because he wanted to teach me himself. And then I thought, you know, my dad, right? My dad rejecting me. But he's my father. My heavenly father, he's my father. And there's no better one than that. So, should I be sad or have a chip on my shoulder because I grew up without a dad? I mean, seriously, I know I'm better off. If it meant no dad or my biological dad, well then I choose no dad. And I'm totally fine with that, but thank God I don't have to worry about not having a dad. He's my dad. And he wants to be. And it was almost like he was telling me the same way he wanted to teach me. It's like he was telling me, I want to be your dad. I want to be your father. I want to be your dad. Just look to me for help, for strength, for guidance, for wisdom and counsel. You know, you have a problem, come to me. I want to help you fix it. I want to help you solve it. You know, I love you. I want to be there for you. And it was like that's what he was telling me, and that's what he tells you today. Whatever you're going through, there's no problem too big or too small for God to solve. Some things, sometimes we think they're trivial. Oh, I could do it, but God doesn't want you to do it on your own. I mean, that's why he came and died, so that way you wouldn't have to do it on your own, so that way he can be there with you to help you. And so he wants to be there with you to help you. He says, come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden. You know, cast your cares upon me, for I care for you. He cares for you that much. He wants you to tell him his problems, every problem. Just go to him and tell him what it is, and let him take care of it. Just give it over to him. And what that means, I don't know if some of you may have heard, you know, the saying, let it go or give it to God. Well, what that means is you give it all to him. You confess to him everything, all the hard truths, the things that are hard to admit to yourself about your feelings. You have to admit it. You have to confess it to him. You have to admit it. That's the only way you can give it to him. It's the only way there will be change. The AA, they say the first step to solving a problem is admitting there's a problem. So you need to admit what your problems are, whether it's pride or selfishness or certain attitudes that you have towards somebody or something, you know, and you're ashamed of it and you don't want to admit it. Well, being ashamed of it and not admitting it isn't going to make it go away. It's going to stay there until you confront it. So confront it and confess it to Jesus and just give it to him. And certain things he'll probably move you to tell somebody else too, because sometimes we need accountability. You know, sometimes we test our boundaries and see what we can get away with, and we keep doing it until we stop getting away with it. So if you really want to change, don't wait until you get caught. Just confess it and seek an accountability partner, another prayer warrior, somebody that you can trust that really wants to help you, you know, and just pray and ask God for guidance in that person too, you know, God knows who's trustworthy. God knows who will have the right wisdom and counsel to be able to help you. So just seek him and give it all to him, all of it. And trust me, he will help you. And I hope this helped some of you guys understand a little more about me and who I am, and even about God, you know, just from hearing my story and how he related to me. I know he loves you all just the same. I know the statistics, there's plenty of people who are growing up without fathers, or, you know, without one of their parents, and so it's okay. The Bible says that even if your father and mother forsake you, I will never forsake you. The Lord will never leave you nor forsake you. So he's telling us right there that people, even the people who are supposed to be there to protect you, people that you're supposed to be able to trust and count on, they're not always going to be there for you. They're not always going to be trustworthy. You're not always able to count on them. And not even because they don't want to be. Some people probably are genuinely, you know, trying to be there for you, but they're only human. They're not God. They're not everywhere all the time. They're not all powerful. They're not all knowing. And it might just physically be unable to help you. But God, that is never an issue with God. So just let him help you. And let him heal you and set you free. Just don't forget to comment or leave prayer requests. Okay, I will leave my email address in the description, so that way you can email me with prayer requests, or, you know, private comments or whatever. And for those of you who maybe heard my testimony and you weren't serving God, but you never really have before, you just don't remember, you don't have enough confidence to know how to pray the sinner's prayer, I'll leave the sinner's prayer in the description as well. Okay? Love you guys. See you soon. Bye.